So we're going to start by having a lay down, which you can do any time you like, as long as it's approximately sort of now. So you can have a lay down on your mat. And while you lay down, I'll give you some of the lowdown on how this all works. Now I'm currently, and it sounds cruel, I'm currently making sure you're all muted. I'm muting you. And that's not because I don't love you, because I do, but just because you get a lot, if, you know, collectively all the sounds of people moving does make quite a lot of noise. So, but you can unmute yourself. It's not a complete dictatorship where I've muted you. You can unmute yourself if you want to ask a question. There's also a button where you can put your hand up if you want to ask a question. There's also, you can also type it in as well. There's a little chat thing there. So if you've got questions, you can type it in. I spend about half of the class getting up, hey mouse, quick turnaround. About half of the class I spend getting up and looking at the screen. So I do check on you. So there's the option to put your video on if you want to be seen, and then I can check that everything's, you know, going well for you. But you also, you know, you might not have done your hair today and you might think, oh, I don't want anyone to see my hair looking like this. So that's fine for you not to have the screen on as well. You can see from me, I have done my hair, so I'm fine to be seen by you all. So there you go, there's the basic ground rules. You can ask questions, you can type into the chat, you can be seen by putting video on or stop video if you don't want to be seen. But if you are being seen, there is some benefit in terms of me being able to see if things are going well. And I have corrected quite a few people so far. Good, okay, so you're laying on your back. Have your legs bent and catch your breath. Now, if you have the soles of your feet on the floor and just tuck under your buttocks, and then just catch up with your breath. Now, we're not going to lay for very long because I know not everyone's super warm. Despite the lovely sunshine outside, it's still quite cold when you're not in the sun. But this is an opportunity for you to take a few deep breaths because the lower back is in contact with the floor. And you can really allow the lower back to settle. And it might involve tucking under a couple of times. It might involve movement. But what you want is to feel grounded, as it were, through the lower back. And you want to feel the lower back has this opportunity to release. So a couple more breaths like that, because I can see at least a few of you are not warm, so we won't be too long laying on the back. Stretching, of course, does release heat, so that's of benefit to us. So we're going to go straight into a basic stretch. We're going to hug the legs. So as soon as you're ready, you can wrap your arms around the legs. As some of you know, I'm a knees apart leg hugger, but most people I've seen over the years are knees together leg huggers, and that's fine either way. But as you're hugging your legs, you can roll to the left or roll to the right. And sometimes you find what I call a juicy bit, don't I? You've heard me call it that before. A moment that's so rich that you disappear into it. And so that might be when you're rolled over to the left. It might be when you're rolled over to the right. And you want to foster those moments. You want to really foster those moments. That is to say, you want to really encourage them. And when you get them right, when they're right, they do absorb you totally. You disappear into them. And then as you disappear, you sort of reappear in a less doubt-affected experience. So a doubt-affected experience is one where the breath is more shallow, you're not sure, you have to look to experts for your opinions. And then an experience where there's no doubt is one where you're absorbed, and then the knowledge spontaneously arises in the form of spontaneity. And that's what we're looking for. The spontaneity is even worshipped in the Indian tradition as a goddess, as the Devi. Tons more to say about the goddess, but we won't say too much. You can flex your feet, you can roll your head with your legs, you can keep your head still while your legs roll. It's up to you. There's multiple things you can do. A few more lovely breaths in this, experimenting and looking for the sensations that are juicy enough for them to eat you. And they eat all your problems as well. I remember Arjun Sameda once saying, if you have to have a person to have problems. If you want problems, you have to have a person to attach them to. But if that person disappears, lo and behold, so do the problems. Huh? It's kind of cool. So rolling left, rolling right, breathing deep and free. And then when you're ready, you might not be ready for a while, you can bring the feet back down to the floor in your own time. And then tuck under the buttocks and then take a deep breath. The breath is so important always in yoga, but now even more than ever. Take a few deep breaths. Not just one, not just two, but a few. And even if you can let just say 5 deep breaths come and go, even if you just allow that, then you'll benefit from this class, from this session, tremendously. So the breath is everything. The breath is your liberator. In yoga philosophy, the breath, like everything else, belongs to Prakriti, who does become worshipped as a goddess. Prakriti means nature. It means the flow of interconnectedness, everything. Your breath is connected to what's going on around you. And so in a sense, it's not your breath, it belongs to nature. Give it back to nature. Give it back to nature. Now, when you're ready, roll onto your side. And then once you're on your side, you can come up from your side onto your hands and knees. Bhamanasana, the posture is called just on your hands and knees. Pretty straightforward. So come onto your hands and knees when you're ready. And take a breath or two. Great. Have your hands further forwards than your shoulders and have a look at your hands. And just make sure that they're equidistant from the front and sides of the mat. Have a look. Make sure they're spread and enjoy spreading your fingers. Spend a bit of time spreading the aponeurosis, the connective tissue on the palms of the hands. Spend a bit of time spreading the tissue. And then having spent time really connecting through repetition, really connecting, then with your toes tucked under, you can lift up into Adho Mukha Svanasana, downward facing dog. So as soon as you're ready, you can pop up into Adho Mukha Svanasana. And once you're up in downward facing dog, many of us do like to bend one knee for a while and then the other knee. I quite like to lift one foot and take it towards the other. So I'm entirely balanced on one leg for a moment. You can try that if you like. And this bending and extending and move, just bringing the stretch onto one leg and alleviating the other, all can help with this absorption. This like disappearing into richness. Richness is another way of saying Prakriti. Prakriti is another way of saying nature. Nature is another way of saying interconnectedness. And of course, once you stretch out the legs, then you stretch through the back. And that can involve movement of your pelvis. You might bring your pelvis left or right. You know, really moving it around, I think feels brilliant. You know, really move it around and get a stretch going on. Through the right, through the left, through the front, through the back. Pelvis can really move around. And try it like you would push, like water finds its way through rock. Push energy through repetition. Water finds its way through rock, through repetition, through adaptability, through persistence. This is how water finds its way through rock, isn't it? And then in addition to all these lovely movements, feel every part of your palms touching the floor. That takes ages. It's not an instant instruction. You move left and right to feel the inner part of the hand, the outer part of the hand, the front part of the hand, the back part of the hand. Feel every part of your hands touching the floor. It takes some time to do it. Good, well done. Come down nice and easy and sit up in a regular kneeling position. Now, some of you will need a block between the heels and buttocks for this. Huh? And that's fine and good, and you should take that. Or if you haven't got a block, a towel, one hand on top of the other on your legs. Palms up. Take deep breaths. That's it. Palms up like that. Good. So we're sitting in a kneeling position known as Vajrasana. And the yoga practitioner, she wants to spend time just noticing the afterglow. So take a couple of breaths. Just notice. Isn't it magical? The afterglow. What is that? That's the living experience. Why don't we normally feel it? Normally we're in the past or in the future or in ideas about ourselves in the present, right? And that's why we don't feel nature. And that's why we think we can cling. If you feel nature, you realize you can't cling. It's too alive. Now interlace your fingers. Stretch your arms diagonally down towards your legs. That's it. And then raise your arms up. So your fingers are interlaced, and then you're raising your arms up. That's it. Suck in your tummy. Good job. Suck in your tummy from the front, sides, and back. So you're trying to increase the height exponentially. You're looking to increase the height more and more. Sucking in, lifting up, sucking in, lifting up, sucking in, lifting up. And it's not just height, it's space. They go together. You're making more space in the anterior spine. So you're sucking from the sides, the front, the back. I reckon you can get a little bit more height if you suck in a little bit more. Come on, you can do it. And you move around a little bit more. You can use little movements to find bits of your energy that could be drawn in to this updraft. Come on, you can do a little bit more. Get that energy going all the way up. Great. Okay, big circle. Hands come down and hands come to your heart. And let's take a deep breath. And I hope where one comes, your another will come. Take a few deep breaths. So just going with a few deep breaths now. And I think one of the main benefits of doing these classes is going to be the liberation of your breath from a shallow, subconsciously shallow pattern to something deeper. Good, okay, from there back onto your hands and knees. Take a breath or two, you can wag your tail. That sometimes keeps the back nice and loose. Remember, you're trying to tune in on this living moment, which means tuning out of the past and the future and ideas about oneself in the present. And by tuning into this present moment, it's liberative. So the texts tell us that by tuning into this, it's liberative. Now we're going to raise one leg, just behind us. So raising one leg, doesn't matter which one, just raise your favorite leg, whichever one that is. It may be just your favorite today. You know, you might be fickle with your leg attachment. And then your toes of your lower leg can be tucked under or pointing back. That's entirely up to you. And we're playing with allowing the top leg to move where it wants to move. Medially, laterally. And breathing into it. We want a feeling of spaciousness and lightness. And movement can help us stay in touch with lightness. And the best way to be sure that you're in touch with lightness is to make sure your breath is free. That it's not going shallow like it would if you weren't sure what you were doing. And you wouldn't be sure if you weren't merged with the present. Okay, bring that leg down, catch your breath, wag your tail, breathe deep, keep loose. And when you're ready, similarly, the other leg comes up. And the emphasis is on lightness. So you breathe through your nose, you move backwards or forwards or left or right, but you're not worried about what you look like compared to your neighbor. You're simply interested in keeping it light, and that's what the movement is serving. movement left, movement right, movement forwards, movement backwards. It's serving that. You don't have to think about it. You don't have to think, is this right, is this wrong? You know, in Sanskrit it's called vidya, to directly see. You know. And to know means to come out of doubt. To come out of doubt means to come out of shallow breath into something more expressive. Bring that leg down when you're ready. And again, you can wag your tail a little bit. Take a few deep breaths. When you're ready, you're simply going to take one of your knees towards one of your elbows, with the foot ideally off the floor. Now, I recommend being calm and allowing movement that helps you with that. So you've got one knee forwards, lift it. And it could be an act of stoicism, but we don't want that. We want it to be an act of yoga. So attitude needs to be very, very light. Okay, bring that leg down. Again, you might wag your tail. You might take a deep breath. And then when you're ready, the other knee comes forwards and your breathing is deep. And once more, you're looking for a sensation of, or an attitude that makes the body feel more fluid. You know, so the attitude itself should be light and easeful and happy, even. Okay, well done. Come back down. Catch a breath, and then lift your bum up. Ardha Mukha Svanasana, downward facing dog. So you're lifting your bum up. Earlier we came into the pose, we bent the knees or we walked one foot towards the other. But in addition, those of you who want can really concentrate on the palms getting in deeper contact with the floor. Palms in deeper contact with the floor. Breathing is deep and honest. Now walk your feet a little closer to each other. Walk your left foot towards your right foot towards your left foot. And then raise one of your legs up. Be careful of your furniture. Don't kick things over. You know, some of you have very valuable furniture. Be careful. And then you bend the knee of the leg that's in the air. And you can turn it inwardly, outwardly. You can lift and descend the heel of the lower leg. There's many ways in which you can play with this and breathe into this. And then from there, once you've rebent the knee, if you straightened it, the knee travels forwards and hovers more or less at the height of the elbow. You know, do what you can. But the important thing is to try to stay light mentally. You might not stay long in the pose. Okay, let's come out in case you're cooked. Back to dog pose. Excuse me, and then take deep breaths. Jaw soft. Raise the other leg when you're ready. Again, you can bend and extend. You can raise and descend the heel of the standing leg. That's another thing that's quite nice to do. And then when you're ready with a bent knee of the top leg, bring the knee forwards more or less level with the elbow. I know it's a big ask, and some of you are thinking, oh God, why did I sign in for this one? But you know, you will benefit. Try to make it meditative. Okay, return back to Ardha Mukha Svanasana. Catch some deep breaths. You're doing great. You're doing really great. Okay, well done. Come down to your regular kneeling. Let me remind you that a block or a towel between the heels and buttocks is a really good idea if your knees are tight at all. It's a really nice thing to do. Huh? So that's worth doing for many of us. There's another benefit to having a block between the heels and buttocks, and that is it pushes your spine up, opens up the central channel. Take a few breaths, one hand resting on the other. Breathing through your nose. Jaw soft. Good. Come to your hands and knees when you're ready. Come to your hands and knees when you're ready. Now, if you can, depending on how you're set up relative to your screen, But if you can, you take the arm that's furthest from the screen and feed it underneath your body towards the screen. But it doesn't matter if you don't do it that way. The palm is up, the other arm is extended, and you're breathing through your nose. So this is a version of Suchirandrasana. Suchirandrasana. And you're breathing into the shoulder, into the deltoid muscles that cap the shoulder. And you take deep breaths. And you're looking to say yes, with your breath to the body here and now. Looking to say yes. Yeah. With the breath to the body here and now. Great. Back to hands and knees when you're ready. You can wag your tail if it feels good. It feels good, doesn't it? Everyone likes wagging their tail. Yeah, come on. And then when you're ready, yeah, you're good tail waggers. A lot of you, I like it. When you're ready, the other arm goes in a similar position underneath, palm up. Good job. Well done. Well done. And you may end up with your arm pushing in. If you've got lots of people around you, just push into them. Doesn't matter. Just push them out of the way. Yeah, it doesn't matter. And then you come into the posture. And then the other arm extended onto your fingertips. And breathing into the muscle that caps the shoulder. So I recommend being on the fingertips, but you don't have to be. It's possible that the fingers don't like that. Sometimes the fingers don't feel comfortable like that. But if they are, it does keep you more open. And that openness on the anterior spine centers us. The theory of physical yoga, starting with the tantric tradition, is this theory of centering, coming into the central channel. And one way to do that is just to literally open it through physical movements. Well done. Nice and easy. Coming back to hands and knees. And taking a couple of deep breaths there. Again, some tail wagging. I've been very impressed with your tail wagging. I have to admit it. I've been very impressed. Now tuck your toes under. And we're going to come to high heel sitting, which I know is not pleasant for some people. It's very unpleasant. For about it divides half and half. So we're not going to be long, but if it is unpleasant for you, you have to understand you do need to do it sometimes. It helps to avoid plantar fasciitis. It helps to relieve tension in the nervous system that's quite deep down, sort of secret tension. Anyway, for those of you who find it tough, we're going to lift the knees up now, and then from there stretch the arms forwards. Preferably breathing through our noses, but you have to do what you have to do. Then we're going to lift up and let the heels come down. Lift up and let the heels come down. Quite a tricky move. Turn your palms in towards each other. Lean forwards again. Raise your arms up behind you like you're skiing very fast. You can add some of the bumps. Anyone who's had the good fortune to go skiing, you can add some of the bumps. And then the arms forwards and up. Then we encourage movement. Arms can move. Legs can go up or down. You can go very low or not so low. The hands can be resting on the shoulder blades or extended up, or both. You can even turn the pose so that it twists. All of this should be intuitive, dance-like even, and absorbing. Most importantly, absorbing. So this is how Utkatasana is born. Utkatasana. This pose is known as fierce pose. Then coming up when you're ready, all the way to standing. Big wide circle, hands to the heart center. Take a breath. Atmanjali Mudra. And I'm hoping your breath is really beginning to open up. So go with it for a few deep breaths. The breath, I'm hoping, is beginning to open up. Good, now bring your feet towards each other. And if anatomically possible, bring them to touch. They don't have to touch all the way along their length, huh? But they can touch at some point at the front of the foot. The breathing, as I mentioned, is through the nose, if you can, through the nose. Now raise your arms up when you're ready. Urdhva Hastasana. It's actually Urdhva Hastasana Tadasana. And then feed in to height. Breathe through your nose, feed into height. Now I do it by lifting my heels. That's one thing I do, is just lift the heels up. Because as I lift the heel up, obviously the pelvis position changes. And then that way I can use the movements as back muscles soften and extend to get some real length going on, some real height, some real lift. Keep sucking in that tummy. Sucking in, lifting up, and reiterating. I can get more height. You know you can. You can get more height. But you've got to suck in, you've got to move, you've got to negotiate, and you've got to be persistent but not aggressive. You know, not at all aggressive. It's actually lovely. It's actually intimate. It's actually interested in the body. Now raise your fingers on the inhale. Bend your ankles, knees and hips on the exhale. Again to Utkatasana. And again, there can be movement. You can go low or not so low. You can have one arm palm up and the other one palm down, or both palms up, twisting like I am here, which is quite nice. Or, you know, whatever's most absorbing in the present moment. And it's that we use as our guide, absorption. Then we stand up, take a big circle, hands again to the heart, take deep breaths. So a synonym for the word yoga is samadhi. You can use them interchangeably. Samadhi meaning total absorption, the completion of absorption. Absorption without remainder. So let your feet move, let your breath come out, feel into this sensually. You know, you come out of this thinking about yoga as right or wrong, and just forget about external authorities about yoga, because yoga, what it is by definition, is karana shakti swato anubhavat, an expression from your own core center. That's by definition. What yoga is karana shakti swato anubhavat, an expression from your own core center, like singing, you know, from your heart, or dancing from your heart, or kissing from the heart, or cooking from the heart. It's all the same. One more time, raise the arms up. Breathe through your shoulders. Lightly tone your tummy. Draw yourself into the central channel, which you visualize as following the anterior spine, all the way up. So moving and repeating and moving and repeating, moving and repeating and moving and repeating, and just focusing on up, up. And to get the up energy, you borrow volume from the front, sides and the back. You need the volume to get the upward volume, so you've got to take it from somewhere. Again, we're going to press the feet and raise the fingers. Inhale. Exhale. Again to Utkatasana. Feel it out. Be calm. Be guided. Be guided by your own absorption here and now, and by your breath. The breath can't be fooled. You know, the breath is always honest. So, you know, you're kind of like, oh, this feels great. You know, I feel absorbed in any movement, you know, literally any movement that's actually absorbing. Not just any movement, but any movement that's absorbing. Finally, when you're ready, you might not be yet, you come up for the last time through these Utkatasana series, arms by your sides. Deep breaths. And you can let your feet move backwards or forwards, left, right. And the breath is deep, the breath is honest. And when you're ready, we're going to raise up the right heel, only the right heel. And catch your breath and feel your left foot. So your right heel is raised and you can feel your left foot. And you're getting more intimate. Remember, we're using the body as a portal. In other words, as a sort of doorway through to this universe, of this reality that we've been talking about, Prakriti, this reality, which is this here and now aliveness. When you're ready, still breathing freely, go ahead and raise that foot right up. And bring the heel into the thigh, and the thigh into the heel, bring your hands to prayer. By the way, it's not only fine to use the support, it's more traditional to do so. So if you want a chair to put in front of you, that's fine. So Vrikshasana. Not called tree pose because it looks like a tree. That's a misunderstanding. They're called tree pose because it used to be done using a little swing hung down from a tree that you would support yourself on. Huh? So a sense of being supported by a tree is lovely. Supported by a tree is lovely. Great, okay. Release your hands, release the foot. Take a deep breath in and followed by deep breath out. And when you're ready, raise your other heel. And use this opportunity to really feel the foot on the floor. Remember, really feeling means merging with her. Prakriti in Sanskrit is a feminine word, like in Latin and German and various other languages. There are feminine and masculine and neuter words in Sanskrit. Prakriti is this living moment. When you're ready, raising up fully the foot and bringing the heel into the thigh and the thigh into the heel and the hands, of course, into Atmanjali Mudra, and breathing through your nose if you can. Breathing through your nose if you can. And if you lose balance, it's a really good opportunity to either have a good laugh at yourself or to say something exceptionally nice to yourself. Like, well done, you're doing brilliant, you're brilliant. You know, as an experiment. So if you do lose balance, just try just swapping the commentary to something sort of super positive. Yeah. Jaw soft, eyes soft, breathing deep. Jaw soft, eyes soft, breathing deep. Okay. Okay, well done. Release your hands, release your feet. Shake out a little bit. It can be a real sort of sassy, gentle shake out, or it can be something more dynamic or a kick out. It really, you know, it's whatever feels absorbing. You know, there's so much misinformation about yoga that it's a thing that's done like this and not like that, and there's this way of doing it. You know, the books, the yoga texts do not point to these formulaic attitudes. They point to spontaneity, expression, trusting in the goddess, which is using your body as a way of not, you know, feeling your body so that it's something you're not clinging to, because it's not clingable. It's beautifully alive, and it's your path to not clinging. It's the beautiful aliveness of the body. Now place your hands on your hips and step your feet generously apart. Have a look at your toes. Hands on your hips, and their toes should be equidistant from the front of the mat. So you're bound to check that now, aren't you? I'm sure you're very thorough, so have a look down. Okay? And then turn your left toes in, right foot and leg out. Doesn't matter if you do it the other way around, but you know that, if you're not sure, left toes in, right foot and leg out. And have a look. Your heel should align with your arch. Okay? Breathe through your nose, feel between your front hip points. So firstly, identify where they are, front hip points. Just you can bring your hands to cover them. Bony prominence is at the front of the pelvis. The hip points, they're actually called the anterior superior iliac spine, but hip points sounds better. Inhale, exhale, bend and then re-extend your front knee a few times. And each time, see if you can bring a bit more tissue round into agreement so that you're really working, not carefully, but lovingly, to bring more and more tissue around. And we're working down holistically towards something like 90 degrees, bringing the knee more or less directly above the ankle. You're also feeling into your back leg. And when you feel through movements of your foot, movements of your knee, movements of both legs, when you feel you've got more or less everything lined up, you stretch your arms out. And you can turn your head if you wish to face along the arm above the bent leg. And keep it alive, sensitive, you know, alive and sensitive, changeable. Let it be changeable. Inhale, come up. Turn the feet forwards, hands to the hips. And breathe deep. So in what's called Sankhya Yoga, the Prakriti is there, it's said, for the enjoyment of essence nature, the Purusha, and for the liberation of essence nature. So this living moment to be experienced like that. Turn your back toes in. We're going the other way. Front foot and leg out. Have a look at the alignment. Breathe deeply. So in Buddhism they say something similar. Experience the experience you're having fully without clinging to it. And that's liberation. It's pretty much saying the same thing, just slightly different emphasis. Bend your knee when you're ready and re-extend it. More than once, several times. And you're bringing tissue along for the ride. Various tissues are coming along for the ride. So you're finding stray tissues that aren't agreeing with the posture, and you're reiterating and finding ways to bring them in with love. Always with love. We're stretching into the back leg as well. Once you've got the knee more or less above the ankle, and you feel ready, you can stretch the arms. Turning the head, breathing through your nose, light tone in your tummy, jaw soft, eyes soft. And keep it alive, don't hold it like a statue. You know, let it be alive. That's what we're doing. The Buddha says that instability is your path to freedom. Anitya, it's called instability. Inhale, come up. Well done. Turn the feet to the front. Catch a deep breath or two or three. And then walk your feet towards each other. Now, if you haven't got a yoga block or a different kind of yoga block or a tissue box, then get something that you can rest your hand onto. You know, it can be whatever. Something that's stable. A book is quite a good idea. Something that's stable is what you need, okay? Because we're going to come into Ardha Chandrasana. That's to say the half moon position. So, again, taking a generous stride when you've got your book, or let me get a book. So I'll tell you what I'll get. I've got a little tin here that I keep seeds in. It doesn't have cheese biscuits because we're vegan, but it has seeds in it. So that's what I'm going to use. There you go, look, there's some sweet corn seeds in there. Anyway, just to show Willie, that block or whatever it is you're using goes down onto the little toe side advanced of the right foot, the head of the right foot. And I hope you can see where mine is positioned here to give you an idea. Turn your left toes in, turning down on the ball of your right foot first, and then once your heel lines up with your arch, finish off the turn on the heel. And have a double check. Have a look down. Yeah, I think I've got it. Double checking. Then you can stretch your arms out. Lightly tone your tummy, draw it in and up. Raise your lead arm. Inhale, exhale. Feel your pelvis move. Of course, it's your hamstrings that are resisting. So feel your pelvis move. And breathe into that, okay? When you're ready, bring your top arm down, bend your front knee. Walk your back foot in towards your front foot. The block or whatever it is you're using is ahead of your foot and lined up with the 4 outer toes. Got it? And then raise up when you're ready. So it's ahead of your foot and lined up with your 4 outer toes. Okay, as Ardha Chandrasana, it's a tremendously exciting posture. Breathing easy. Jaw soft. Good, well done, you're doing great. Now your top arm can be stretched up, but it can also be resting on your top leg. It doesn't have to be stretched up, and actually that's the way you see the late great PKS Iyengar doing it. Great, okay, you've been there ages. You're doing great. Bend your knee, come back with control. Back with control. You might as well come up with that block or whatever it is you're using. Tin with seeds in it. And then take your feet to face forwards and hold your block or whatever it is in front of you. And let's take some deep breaths. Let's take some deep breaths. While you're taking the deep breaths, turn your back toes in, turn your front foot and leg out. And again, please check that you've got heel to arch foot alignment. So have a look. Heel to arch foot alignment. Okay. You can then place your block down. You can move that properly in a minute. Stretch your arms when you're ready. As soon as you stretch your arms, suck in the tummy gently and lift up your ribs. So it's always loving. It's loving because love is absorbed. And what you're absorbed in is living. And remember that yoga is a devotional practice. So you're absorbed into her. Prakriti is a feminine term. And in so doing, that means in your physical sensations now. Raise your lead arm, inhale. Exhale, come down. And as you move, sensations are stimulated that are a good counter for your attention. They draw your attention to them. The sensations draw your attention to them. Play and breathe. Play and breathe. Moving left, moving right, moving forwards, moving backwards. Jaw soft. Top arm down. Bend your front knee. Walk your back foot towards your front foot. Take your block, or whatever it is, ahead of your foot. Lined up with the 4 outer toes, not with the big toe. Walk in until you feel ready to come up to your Ardha Chandrasana, the half moon position. And you breathe into it. It's fun, you know, it's wobbly, makes you feel a bit like you've had too much to drink. Maybe some of you have had too much to drink. And you're breathing into it. There is the option to raise the top arm, but it's great also to not. You know, if you have the top arm straight and you walk it along your top leg, it lengthens your bottom ribs. It lengthens your bottom ribs. And that stops your spine side flexing, which is good. Okay, bend your knee. Imagine the hair is a bit thicker than it really is. Go back to your Trikonasana, your triangle pose. Feeling the back of the leg, obviously that's where a lot of the stretch is. And then inhale to come up. Well done. Feet face forwards, hands on the hips, breathing deep and easy. Walk your feet towards each other and give your legs a little kick out. A little kick out. Take a few breaths like that. Now, nice and simple and straightforward, we're going to stand in the middle of our mat with our feet together, ideally. And from that position, we're going to take one or the other shin. It doesn't matter which one. You're going to raise one leg and take hold of the shin. And you don't need to do much more than that, apart from extend your arm forwards. And breathe through your nose. Release unnecessary gripping. Release unnecessary gripping. So that the sides of the body feel more equal. The sides of the lower back, the quadratus lumborum. Now, if you want, once it has returned to some sort of peacefulness, heralded by your breath being freer, you could extend the leg a little and even lean forwards a little. But it's not, trying to get the leg higher or stretch more is a fool's game. A great yoga practitioner, she gets more and more from less and less. She needs only subtle sensations. So keeping the body more or less level, that is not twisting outwards too much, keeping the body more or less level, soft, both sides. This is sometimes called Natarajasana, which is a funny name for it because Nataraja doesn't look anything like this. Anyway, release and bring your foot down. And catch your breath, catch your breath, catch your breath. Catch your breath. Take a deep breath, or two, or three. Jaw soft, eyes soft. And of course, when you're ready, when you're planted on your other foot, go ahead and raise up your leg. The other arm extends forwards. You're breathing calmness, letting the side of the body that correlates to the raised leg soften. The side of the body connected to the raised leg, that same side, softens. And actually it's a wonderful opportunity to release quite a lot of hypertension, subconscious tension that many of us carry in muscles like the quadratus lumborum, these lower back muscles. If you want to, if it feels like it wants to open up, that's fine. You know, you can open it up a bit. But breathe into it moment to moment. Breathe into it moment to moment. Keeping the jaw soft. Finding the pelvic floor. Being calm. Well done. You stayed a while. Release, nice and easy. Take your feet apart, hip width apart. Take your feet apart. And you can shake down gently or more dynamically. The hips might move left or right. Just to keep things flowing, but not over deliberated. Nice and free, flowing, easeful movements. Now from here, again, you might want to use your block. If you're stiffer still, a chair is useful because we're going to forward fold over the top of the front thighs, hinging from the hip joints. So when you're ready, raise your arms up and suck your tummy in. Suck your tummy in. Inhale, raise higher from your inner groins. Inhale. Exhale, fold over the top of your front thighs, hinge from the hips, and here the hands are coming to a block or a chair or the floor. But if your back feels tight or dull or painful, then make sure you're bending your knees down so your back is alleviated from any of those symptoms. Dullness, aching, or pain. You don't want to feel those. So having your hands higher up or having a block, breathing into it.
Don't release the head entirely either. Keep a little openness so that your head isn't flopped down, but at the same time you don't want to tense up your neck muscles. So have your head lifted in a way that doesn't tense up your neck muscles. You can, if you want, hold your biceps or elbow points. And as time goes by, the hamstrings on the back of the legs will release. The pelvis will tilt. And as that happens, the crown of the head, following the rest of the body, does over time begin to move in a direction where the crown of the head might eventually face straight down. But that, what shouldn't happen is that the head shouldn't release prematurely. Huh? That is to say, the head doesn't release before the rest of the body's gone down. You need both to happen together. Good. So, you know, the head is in its normal alignment with the rest of the spine. Good. Okay, now release your arms. Let your arms go. Bend your knees or bend them more until your ribs touch your thighs. Until your ribs touch your thighs. Okay, and once your ribs are touching your thighs, let your head go. Let your head go. Totally. Yeah, let your arms hang. Let your arms just hang, Sarah. Yeah, that's it. Your bum can be a bit higher, Sarah, than that. A bit higher. Yeah, that's it. Good. And then you bring your hands up onto your thighs, just above your knees. So your arms straighten, but your knees stay bent. Arms straighten, but your knees stay bent. And then gradually you walk up your legs. Gradually you walk up your legs, up your thighs, from above your knees. That's it. And straightening up your arms. And finally you come up. Once you're up, you just stand, taking deep breaths through your nose. You just stand, taking deep breaths through your nose. And just breathe it out. Feel the pelvic floor. And breathe it out. Feel the pelvic floor. And breathe it out. Jaw stays soft. Brain stays soft. Lovely. From there, we're going to come down to laying on our backs. By the way, it's a lovely little cute chair, Tom. I like that little chair. It's lovely. I love it. Coming down to laying on our backs. And legs bent, soles of the feet on the floor. And just raise one leg up when you're ready. Raise one leg up when you're ready. That's it. Just straight up. And you can flex your foot. You can move the leg backwards and forwards. You know, make it feel like it's coming alive, as it were. You know, you're feeling alive within it. So moving your foot, moving the leg. Multifarious things you might do. Good. And then you're going to turn the heel in and the toes out. Turn the heel in and the toes out. So the leg rotates outwardly. And then bend at the knee and cross that leg over the other leg. So that leg crosses over the other one. Just push beyond the outer ankle. So the outer ankle is not on the leg anymore. Just push beyond. You got it. Good. Okay. You okay, Christine? Okay, Chris? Yeah. Okay. Now lift the foot that's on the floor off the floor. Lift your head and you see the gap between the legs. Plunge one hand through that gap and reach round in front of the shin or the back thigh and interlace. And then bring your head back down again. Good job, Sinead. That's perfect. And then you can roll around. So you might roll right out. Oh yeah, like that. You might roll right over to one side. And then you feel something juicy. And then you might roll right over to the other side. You're looking for juicy sensations. Sensations that are so rich that clinging is negated. So rich. Rich means sort of infinite, doesn't it? Clinging is negated. Great, okay. Nice and easy, release that leg. Place both feet on the floor, tuck under the buttocks, take a deep breath. And then we're going to do the same thing on the other side when you're ready. So raise up the other leg, straight up. That's it. And then flex the foot back and forth. Good. You're right, Heidi. Okay. And then moving back and forth. Good. And waking up the entire leg. And then turn the whole leg so that the heel turns in and the toes turn out. And then bend that leg across the other one, quite right, like that. And then push beyond the outer ankle. So you haven't got the outer ankle there. It feels quite nice. It looks very relaxed. Quite relaxing, isn't it? Just that. Oh, yeah, I know. I feel what you feel. Nice. And then when you're ready, lift the foot that's on the floor off the floor and plunge through, interlace around your far shin. Breathing deep, have a roll about. So you might roll to the right and there it is, and you're like, oh my Lord. Or you might roll to the left. What it should be doing for you, if you're doing it right, should be absorbing. So if you find the right sensation, then it's like your mind can't cling to thinking, to past or future. It just can't cling. And of course, that's exactly what we want. We want to negate clinging. And you know it's right because your breath comes out. And sometimes you find a really good spot, like that. Oh God. And then you can't speak. Called Unmani, beyond thinking. Okay, nice and easy. If you're ready, release and place the feet on the floor. Tuck under the buttocks and take a deep breath. Tuck under the buttocks and take a deep breath. You can stretch your arms right out to the sides now if you've got room. Otherwise, you have to poke the people next to you to get them out of the way. You stretch your arms right out to the sides. Great. You can also top and tail. That's another way if you've got someone really close. Have your elbows a little higher than your shoulders. And just for a few breaths, appreciate the relationship between your breath, your chest muscles, and your shoulder blades. Between your breath, your chest muscles, and your shoulder blades. How the release of your chest muscles is connected to your breath. How the release of your breath is connected to a deepening into the back ribs of the shoulder blades, and how all three are connected to each other. Okay, stretch your arms over your head. So lift your arms one at a time, many times, or you can sway them side to side. Come on, let's get the arms moving. That's it, good. Yeah, good job, Kate. Lifting one arm, lifting the other arm. So I can see some of you are chilly. I'm sorry about you being chilly. I wish I could turn the heating up for you. I can't do that, sadly. But you're lifting each arm many times and you're moving the shoulder blades out and up. So if you lift your right arm and bring it towards the left, then it means the shoulder blade gets pulled out and up and vice versa. And you just do it as many times as you can. And you can do it any more times even after I've stopped mentioning it. And then you're going to lift up your feet. And then you're going to lift up your legs. And then you might swing your legs over a little. Urdhva Prasrita Padasana, upwardly extending your legs. And then play, various plays. It could go left, it could go right, it could go further over the body. Yeah. And then from there, once you've got a good stretch, and you can bend one leg and you can extend the other, there's loads of lovely things you can do. And again, you can move your shoulder blades any amount of times, because sometimes it feels good to move them again. From there, we're simply going to lower the legs both together, keeping them relatively straight when you feel ready. So let them start coming down towards the floor without bending the knees. So lowering the legs down towards the floor, Tom. Yeah, with your arms still over your head. That's it. Good, so the arms are on the floor over your head and you're lowering the legs, and then finally they come down, and then you let go of the arms, and then you let go of everything with a deep breath. You take a few deep breaths, just go really melty. Bend your elbows, go super melty just for a second. Super melty, just for a second. Okay, and oh yeah. Some of you are great at this melting, I love to see it. Because some of you are cold, I'm going to ask you all to bend your legs and roll over onto your side. You're going to come up from the side, from where you're going to sit with your legs extended out in front of you. And you're going to draw one leg back towards you and take hold of the foot or the leg like I've done here. And then you're going to take the foot, push it back a little bit, and then see if you can place the foot into the opposite elbow crook, the crook of the elbow. If that's difficult, you can just hold the leg and move it back and forwards, side to side, working into the hip. Or you can kind of hug the leg. Don't twist your foot though. You know how the foot can kind of twist in? Keep it level, keep the inner and outer ankle balanced. And then play forwards or backwards. You can even use your other hand on the floor behind you to give you different kinds of stretch. Some of them are very juicy. Some of the stretches you can get. And you can really go for a bit of rolling about. It's like self-wrestling. You don't have to. You can stay with seated versions, or you can come to laying down versions. But it mustn't go into the knee. So you keep it away from the knee. One of the ways you do that is by keeping the foot from twisting. So one of the ways you keep it away from the knee is you stop the foot from twisting. If the foot twists, then pressure will come into the medial meniscus, which might cause you no pain whatsoever, but it does contribute to the wear and tear of that cartilage. The meniscus is the cartilage between the upper and lower leg. Okay, when you're ready, release that leg. And just revitalize your body. Give it a bit of a rub. The legs, the pelvis, face even. Just spread the energy around. This is part of traditional Trul Kur, which is the Tibetan name for an original Hatha practice from the part of India where we now have Goa and Karnataka. So we're going to lift up the other foot when we're ready. It's enough to just get hold of the foot, to play the leg in various ways, or there's other options such as bringing the foot into the crook of the elbow, and then there's the forwards and backwards actions, and then also options to come down, but that's optional. And it can be quite intense in the hip, and we don't mind that. Tivra samveganam asanaha is Sanskrit. And it's from Patanjali's Yoga Sutra. Tivra samveganam asanaha means intensity. Tivra samveganam, intense desire for liberation. Asanaha, sit near to that. So intensity, sitting close to intensity, the intense desire to realize your own freedom. It's part of yoga. And we can start it with just bare bones intensity, here and now. Great pose to play with. We'll gently come out. When we're ready, gently come out. We're coming onto our hands and knees again. So as soon as you're ready, come onto your hands and knees again. And just take a few breaths there. You might wag your tail. You might breathe deeply. You're going to take one knee, doesn't matter which one, bring that knee to the back of its own wrist.
So it comes onto the floor, it's behind the wrist on the same side of the body as it is. And then we're going to keep the knee more or less there and move the foot diagonally across the body. And you're usually going to need to move your back knee further back. And then you start coming down. Any problems in your knee, lean away from your foot. I'll show you from the other side in case. Lean not towards, but away from your foot. Any problems in the knee. And in that way, we avoid fulcruming up again on the medial meniscus. The medial meniscus is the side that much more susceptible to injury than the lateral meniscus. Partly because as walking apes, we put more pressure through that side. So breathing into it, massaging into it, you know, by moving backwards or forwards. You can come lower, that's fine, it's allowed to do that. You can come higher, that's fine, you're allowed to do that. And it's a kind of massage. A few more breaths as you are. I'll come and check on you. Good. It's Ekapada Rajakapotasana. Lovely. Yes, yes. Tuck under your back toes. Come out nice and easy. And back to hands and knees. Catch your breath there on your hands and knees. And then similarly, we bring the other knee to the back of the other wrist. Same thing. So once the knee's at the back of the wrist, then you move your foot diagonally across and then stretch back your other leg. Remember any discomfort in the knee and you immediately lean, sort of counterintuitively, towards that knee, away from the foot. Simply because if you bring weight above the foot, it pushes down and that means the foot gets more pressure on it, so it pushes up and that puts pressure on the medial meniscus. Oh yeah. So breathing into it. Here's a model of the knee, anyone who's interested. There's the front of the knee, there's the knee cap underneath the patella, and here is the meniscus. Okay, right there. And the medial meniscus is here on this side. This is medial meniscus, right there. And that's what we want to avoid putting pressure on. There's the meniscus from above. You can see they're like little cartilaginous rings. And they support these femoral condyles, these bones here. So they rest in the meniscus. Because the way the body is, we do tend to put more pressure on the medial meniscus. And that's the side that gets injured over time. So any tightness there, remember, lean away so you take the pressure off them. We don't want to put that pressure on them. A tiny little anatomy lesson thrown in just for good measure. Okay, so you can lean forwards or back or up or down. You can lean away from your foot if your medial meniscus is feeling tight. It's nearly always the medial meniscus that causes problems for people. And it's a meditation in the present moment. Leaning up means you can stretch the spine anteriorly. Leaning forwards means you release the psoas more softly. So they both have benefit. Good. Tuck under your back toes. Coming up. Nice and easy. And back to hands and knees. And we're going to take a regular kneeling position, known of course as Vajrasana. We know that we can use a block between the heels and buttocks. And that's not just for the knees, but also to push more energy up through. If you haven't got a block, a towel works really well, folded neatly.
So make sure you're comfortable, because we're going to do a little practice now. So if you're not comfortable in the ankles, put a rolled up blanket under your front ankles or towel. If you're not comfortable in the knees, put a block or towel between your heels and buttocks. And then when you're comfortable, close your eyes. And allow a little movement on the shins, perhaps side to side. Breathing through your nose. We don't even realize how we get drawn to the peripheral of our experience very, very easily. And on the peripheral level of our experience, everything is changing. Everything is unstable. And that's fine and good. There's nothing wrong with that. What happens for a yogin, yogini or a yogin, is that they notice that they bring their attention to that instability. And as a result, they let it go. They don't cling to the instability because it's not clingable. And when you don't cling, you end up in the very center. It's a metaphor for a feeling of stillness and freedom. And in Tantric yoga, which is yoga that started around 450 Common Era and had its heyday around the 11th century Common Era, we practice bringing energy into the middle directly in various techniques. And the one we're going to do now is called Uchara. And all you do is take a bija mantra, a seed mantra, and you visualize it as you chant it. So you make the noise, you make the sound, and you visualize it. So you make the visualization like a light, like white light. And that white light is going to move as you chant from the pelvic floor area upwards, and you're correlating the sound with your visualization. You're feeling it as viscerally as you can. And as the sound rises up, and the sound, by the way, is going to be Om, you reach the nasal ending, the ma part of the Om, but we're not going to touch our lips for this. We're going to make it a pure nasal rather than a labial meaning lips, pure nasal rather than a labial nasal. So as it reaches the nasal part, we emphasize it. We make it a more vibrant nasal sound. And that nasal sound loosens the last 4 little knots from the forehead center through the head and right up through the crown of the head. So in this sense, this duality of self and other is opened up, is transcended as we open up this Sahasrara, which is sometimes called a chakra, but it's not a chakra, this 1,000 petal lotus. It's a sort of symbol. So we're going to chant Om. We're going to chant it 5 times, but don't worry about counting. I'll count for you. And as we chant it, we're going to visualize that the sound we're making is correlating to this light moving up, moving blockages, goes right up. When it gets to the nasal area, make it more nasal, and then you imagine it coming out of the crown of the head, out into infinite space, 5 times. Take a deep breath in, inhale. Out of the crown of your head, now the next deep breath comes in. Out of the crown of the head, and again deep breath, make it nasal at the end. Last 2 rounds, extra deep breaths, please. And
the last one, out of the crown of the head at the end. Oh. At the end of that, you take a deep breath in with a deep breath out to relax. And really go for a deep breath or two. Really go for a few deep breaths. Just let your body be open to the breath. It's like you're giving. Like you're giving your body entirely. Like you're giving. Just giving, you know. Yajna in Sanskrit implies this giving. May all be happy, may all be healthy, may all see goodness, may there be no worries. We're going to come to laying on our backs on the floor nice and gently. A support for the head, please. And palms will face up. Make sure you're warm. Get really snugged up. Get really warm. Good. I'll help to make sure you're warm by lighting the fire here. I'm going to light the fire so it's nice and warm for you. Eyes closed, jaw soft. If you haven't already scooted the shoulder blades under, then go ahead and do that now. I've lit the fire for you. Should be nice and warm. There you go, you can feel the heat, I'm sure. And then eyelids are lovely because they just rest on the eyeballs. It's a really nice feeling, very simple feeling. And the eyelids begin to encourage the eyeballs to soften. Feel the full weight of your body. What a lovely, simple thing that is. Palms face up, because that position releases pressure from the outside of the collarbones. And as the pressure releases from the outside of the collarbones, that pressure releases from the breastbone. And then the breastbone begins to move with more ease. More ease. And the breath
flows uninterrupted, unimpeded, given back to nature. Just let your toes move a little, and ankles too, and fingers and wrists. And when you feel, in love, as it were, in the body, that means absorbed, and bend your legs. And place the soles of the feet on the floor. It's a great opportunity to tuck under the buttocks and to release the lower back. So tuck under the buttocks, release the lower back, take some deep breaths. And just experience that, what it's like to give the lower back to the breath totally. Even for one breath, just experience what it's like to give the lower back to the breath totally. Then roll onto your side. If possible, roll away from where you hear my voice. And then roll onto your other side when you're ready. Lay comfortably. And when you're ready, begin to let light and color into your eyes. You might stretch out an arm or a leg. You might rub your eyes. And when you feel ready to come up, You come up nice and easy from the side. Being separate, of course, is an imagination, an idea that we can believe in so totally that it feels true, but it's not true. We're interconnected all the time. Space doesn't divide us. You can feel that at any time. Space doesn't divide us. We imagine it does, and that imagination can seem so true that it feels real. But it doesn't divide us. I can feel you now, and you me. Thank you so much for your time this evening. Really appreciate it. Namaste. You can feel free to unmute yourself if you have anything you want to ask or say, or I'll stay online for a couple of minutes in case there's anything you want to ask or say. But otherwise,